how would you describe Composable in 3 words? Let's say, for example, you know how Bitcoin has this narrative that it's digital gold or the internet of money. Ethereum is the world computer. How would you describe Composable in that context?
Yeah, so I think Composable is essentially bringing about this future of any money, any chain, anywhere. So really having infrastructure where a user with X amount of assets on one chain can now do whatever they want with those assets on whatever chain. Doesn't even matter to them which chain, but you know, we enter a world that's a lot more user centric. Like, I want to take out a loan, I want to stake, I want to yield farm, I want to do this and that. Everything can just be facilitated by our infrastructure, and there's no need for the user to sit down and learn about 50 different protocols, but instead they're sort of doing everything from one seamless application. So Composable, any money, any chain, anywhere. It's all about under the hood, right? It's all about orchestration in a non-custodial environment. So moving funds from one chain to the next, this sort of composability similar to interchain accounts, you know, stake Atom on one chain, print ST Atom on another chain, etc. IBC everywhere so that these connections are done in a completely trustless manner. And then lastly is sort of the user experience perspective, right? We just put out example of like how our UX process goes, and it's really key for us to build things that make things stupidly simple for users. Like everyone knows how to write an email, so maybe writing an email should be the way that someone sort of manages their funds across 20 different chains.
It sounds like you are interoperability maxis here and really try to build like a truly interconnected blockchain economy, which I personally also think is the end game. I think that's also why we resonate so much on the visions here. But how do you think you can achieve this? I mean, the thing about in crypto is everything is so fast living, right? Like now IBC is gaining traction. Maybe next year there's another interoperability protocol that will compete with it, or there's a completely new project, right? For example, like Sui and Aptos, they also came kind of like out of nowhere over the past year and a half. So like in that fast moving crypto world, like what's your strategy, I guess, to ensure that you always pursue this vision, that you don't get distracted by these noises that come up all the time?
Yeah, I think it really ultimately just stems from the user, right? Like what do users want to avoid? It's 2 things: getting rugged, and the second thing, not having access to yield and decision fatigue, right? And I think the biggest thing is we have built a system that addresses both of these aspects from the programmability perspective, but also in this sort of bridging message passing perspective, which is like expanding, souping up IBC and having it expand to other ecosystems. That's really like our core belief is the future is a user sort of is using a wallet and they don't even really know it's a wallet. They're just using an interface very similar to like Chase or Bank of America or something, but instead they actually know that they're controlling their money in a variety of different places. And so long as we listen to the users and we know, okay, these are the places that we need to connect to continue to fuel, to serve users. And this is the protocol that we need to use, IBC, to maintain trustlessness across all different ecosystems. Then I think with those 2 guiding principles, we'll be able to like adjust our roadmap accordingly.
What excites you about IBC? I mean, I think Polkadot also has, it doesn't have it yet, but I think Polkadot also wants to have such an interoperability standard like IBC. But IBC, as of my understanding right now, as of my knowledge, is currently the only one in production right now that connects sovereign blockchains. So what is the thing that excites you about IBC, and how do you see IBC playing out in the future, like in the long term?
Yeah, I mean, so the first principle about IBC that's the most important is trustlessness, right? And how low level of a protocol can you find that can be abstracted and sort of implemented in other ecosystems? This was like for us to decide which sort of transport protocol we want to work with to extend to other ecosystems. The highest priority was trustlessness, and after that, it was extendability. So XCM and IBC are both trustless, but from an extendability perspective, like XCM is just not really that extendable right now to other ecosystems, whereas IBC is. And I don't think we're going to find anything that is more trustless and decentralized than IBC. Maybe in the future we have some like magic or whatever that results in verification of transactions on both sides, but ultimately IBC is, the king and will be here in 20 years from now. Every other bridging protocol will not be here in 20 years from now.
Yeah.